Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Coming up next on tonight's installment of Speed Gaming Events, we have a match scheduled for the Super Mario Bros. 3 Randomizer 2020 tournament, right here, right now. I'm Teeks88, and joining me in the commentary booth, we have GamerCal. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. How are you all doing today?
So yeah, with the group-based round-robin portion of the tournament now behind us, we are down to 22 competitors who have since advanced to the brackets. Tonight we begin the first match of brackets, round one, with Magoo versus Adorable and YoBGS. So each bracket match is going to be best of three. Each race will be conducted using the same flag set in which World Order and all levels will be shuffled throughout the game. Additionally, power-ups and enemy sets in each level are shuffled, and the number of forts you find in a particular overworld is random. However, unlike flag sets 1 and 2 from the group stage, neither of our races will encounter any end-spade card games, nor will hammers break any locks, nor will they pass go, nor will they collect $200.
Ah, but that was the best bit. Well, I guess you've got to play in hard mode at some points. Yeah, so a lot of the bracket stuff is a lot more in resource management. Like, the hammers are not necessarily as important, but they are for particular worlds. And it's a lot more about having enough power-ups, really. Sometimes you will see more toad houses being taken because you don't have the end card to rely on here. So it's interesting to see what everybody's different strategies are for this. As we start with World 5, huh?
Right. And looks like we're starting off with 6-6 right off the bat. That's rough.
So we had the Challenge Cup yesterday that started with 7-8, if I remember rightly, and looks like brackets are starting off just as difficult here. Ooh, good start for Magoo there, getting past the first of those red piranhas.
It's good to pick up a mushroom if right in the beginning, if it's at all possible. But the only disadvantage to that is that it leaves your hitbox a little bit open, so it's very easy to just get caught by one of the many bloopers that are infested in these waters.
Oh, and
it looks like
yeah, seeing that as well. I would have wanted to see Magoo leaving that start very slightly longer, letting it go a bit further in to just like breeze through this, but it looks as if it's paid off anyway. Good start. And YoBGS, oh, it's gone.
Yeah, I was just going to say, getting that star from Magoo was a really good move because he was able to just hold on to that invincibility just long enough to knock out that blooper right as he was navigating through those piranha plants.
Excellent patience there too. YoBGS showing us a rare power-up to pick up. You can actually get an extra one at the top, and if he can get up there. It's not easy, but he can get up there. If he can, that fire flower is going to be fantastic, but just choose not to here. Can't waste too much time on this stuff, especially if you think, well, what if my opponent just did this first time, right?
Yeah, it's a really good point as well.
3 Fort World 5. That's definitely an interesting one. None of the forts are particularly in the way, though. Like, there's no locks to break here. There's no choices to really make on it. Just a straightforward pathway through. As 6-7 not really giving Magoo much trouble here. Just nice patience. Nice patience from YoBGS here as well. Gotta just be careful. Yeah, not to go too high up.
No.
It's awkward. This stage first is one of the worst that you can see. And yeah, this is a sort of test of metal. Also, I kind of lied when I said there's nothing blocking the way here. This fort might break the lock, but we don't really know. The thing with a free Fort World 5 is that you don't have the usual safety net of seeing a blue fort equals break the lock, because there's only one blue fort, and there's two otherwise. One of those will build a bridge, the other one's going to break the lock, so we'll see if this is the right one.
You can't really fault anyone for struggling with 6-6, especially when it's the first level. I mean, when you're in the water, you have very limited movement, and those bloopers, the way they swim, are a lot faster than you are.
Absolutely.
So you really have to make an effort to keep your distance. Oh, no. Speaking of really bad levels to start with, we have 7-5.
I did not roll this for the record. YoBGS making it through. Oh
no, what? That's just unfair.
Okay, so there is a sanity check. I mean, Magoo can't do anything about it on this life. There is a sanity check here. The red Koopa at the top is always a red Koopa because you ideally take it down with you in order to prevent that from happening. But that is still incredibly mean.
You have that nipper just right on the other side, just waiting to get you. So you're gonna have to use that shell and just throw it in such a way just to knock out both of them at the same time.
Yeah. So we did see YoBGS take a mushroom house here. Oh, ouch. Which did give him the leaf to get through the hammer bows here. Extra. Oh, that's pretty big. Magoo didn't do the hammer bows, and so does not have access to that cloud.
That's a really good point, and especially since he's going to get the Rude Awakening with 7-5, that'll probably be a good opportunity to help him catch up.
And
so Magoo's
probably too. Ooh.
Magoo's probably backing on the idea that if not only can he just break the lock by playing this fortress, but he'll be able to pick up a power up along the way that'll help him if he decides to visit 7-5 again.
Right. He is correct that this will break the lock because he's done one tan fort that didn't break the right lock, and so this blue one has to break the lock. So he's right in playing this, but yeah, now I mean he'll have access to a toad house as well as potentially the hammer bow here. I think he's right to play the hammer bow. You want to try and get your resources up here. To maybe get a fire flower for the stage would be lovely. Star is not a terrible idea, but it might run out before you get to the Patui that's in the way.
At any rate, it never hurts to have at least 1 or 2 stars in your inventory, just in case you come across some really nasty hammer bro fights later on.
Absolutely.
Like, especially when you're trudging through shallow waters with 2 fire bows trying to ambush you.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's the red Cooper I mentioned before. That's always there as a sanity check for, I guess, because this situation has come up before, and it's an awkward one to say the least.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, on the bright side, it doesn't look like they have to deal with any boss bass or angry sun just looming around the corner, or one of those rogue cheeps that just spawn out of thin air. So that should make navigating the lower path a little bit easier.
Right. Oh, unfortunate. It was a good idea going for the item here, just to see if you could get another power-up to... Especially because we know this is a 7-8 enemy set, right? So anything can happen as we go further in here. Like that...
Oh, no!
Right there, just appearing out of nowhere. The Unchained Chomp. That is... Wow, this stage is something else. As YoBGS showing some fantastic P-Speed strats going through 4F1 there.
It's very easy to forget about those rogue chain chomps because they don't really show up in the original game. But,
not only that, but when you're going through that section, that was the third enemy of the 3, where the Patui, Nipper, Unchained Chain Chomp. You don't see that the first time you go through, so you have no idea what enemy was actually there. So there's very little you could actually do to prepare for that. This is where it gets dangerous, though, because if Magoo fails this time, there's very little coming back from this.
Pretty much neck and neck right now.
YoBGS gets the bad news as well. Is that, what do? And there, he sees the Chain Chomp at least, so there is that. That was a roaming Patui there as well, right? Yeah. That Chain Chomp is out for blood, man. What is going on with this? Oh no!
I see one of those munches is staying still, so he probably shoots fire if you're not quick enough.
Right. That's YoBGS has got to be careful as well. There are invisible blocks in above that left-hand side, as Magoo is showing us here.
And neither racers are big, so they don't really have the option of just using a clip to make a shortcut to the exit pipe. So they're both going to have to use the invisible block bridge to get to the exit.
So the biggest worry for both of them now is another Chain Chomp that's on this top section. Because there's usually at least one enemy here that doesn't spawn the first time through. It's a Paracooper this time. Okay. That should be good. Both players most likely going to make it through here.
Yeah, BGS and Magoo are in good shape now.
I'm actually a little bit surprised. Maybe they don't know about it. There's an invisible block just before you go down that pipe again, which has a 1-up guaranteed. So they could have taken that for the bit of extra safety, because both of them are kind of low on lives. BGS not so much, but that 6-6 took a number on him, so...
That's a really good point about the 1-up, but I'm sure that when most people are just getting their way out of 7-5, they're just like, get me out of here. It's just not even a thought to them.
Yeah. Not gonna lie, I kind of expected the bullet bill to hit Magoo there from the blaster. It didn't look like he was close enough to evade that, but see, how many hits have we got from Roy here? 3 so far.
Literally dodged the bullet.
Full 5, wow. Luckily, Roy doesn't commonly jump immediately, but when you're in this situation, it's like, where is he gonna land? Not in any way good, that's for sure. Magoo taking the fall there.
Not only do we get a jump pattern, but he's going full Michael Jordan on us.
Yeah, Roy and Ludwig especially, but I guess because they had to have higher jump heights to compensate for the fact that they had earthquakes on them, they tend to just shoot for the stars whenever they don't have earthquakes. So you've got to be really careful when fighting these.
Yeah, that's another thing to really watch out for when you're doing Koopa Link stomp kills in general. I know that sometimes you have bad hitbox interactions that force you to take damage when you come in contact with them, and that's something that's commonly attributed to Iggy, especially in vanilla SMB3. But it can really happen to any Koopa Link that jumps in any capacity, because a lot of that hitbox collision occurs when their Y velocity is going too fast at the time you make contact with each other. So instead of just registering as taking a stomp, it just registers as damage.
Speaking of damage, we did see one death to the coin ship from YoBGS, and the 6F3 has been a little bit of a challenge as well. This World 2 is interesting because we are up another fort here. This world normally only has 1 fort, and World 5 normally only has 2, so we're probably only going to see like 1 fort in World 6, if I had to guess, like just based on the way this is going so far. Every world has to have at least 1 fort in it, but yeah, we've already got a stockpile so far, so interesting to see how that pans out. 2 clouds in the inventory for YoBGS at least, so that was... ouch. That was the item from Peach in the last world, so that's kind of nice.
It's another thing to watch out for too, especially when you're making through a road with this Kepi fort like this one. Sometimes they can reverse trajectory, so like in situations where you would normally expect them to go clockwise, they can sometimes go reverse clockwise. So it just makes certain pathways a little harder to just casually run through.
Right. So, speaking of running through stuff, YoBGS doing a very good job with the Air Force there. Deceptively difficult level without the auto-scroll. It's hard normally because the physics are different, I guess, when you've got the fast auto-scroll, but when you don't have any, it's still really hard because the jumps just become that much more... You've just got a blind leap sometimes, it feels like. Ooh. I was going to say great use of the P-Wing there for 8-1, but losing it a bit too early there. I have to play this out normally now.
Technically, you can still do a P-Speed strat in the early portion of 8-1, even in Randomizer, but you just can't always expect to have an enemy to follow up stomp on to get past these bullet bill turrets, because as we saw with the Fire Snakes, you could just come to a dead halt and take damage.
Still, getting through without dying is still an achievement in that stage. It is very difficult to do, so nicely played. Going in blind with a hammer bow here, bold move. I guess there's not a lot of power-ups to go around for stuff here, so... Alright. Gets a star, hopefully... Yeah, he's not going to pick it up in time. Yeah, oh, it had a star anyway, it's fine. 4th block in that section will have an item. Oh! Magoo just doesn't even want to play this level. That's fair, you've got a cloud. Problem is...
You can't really blame him, because I know 8-1 is very unpopular with a lot of SMB3 players generally. Yeah. And Randomizer doesn't really do you any favors with some of the enemy spawns that can come up later on.
The catch is that's brought him down to his last life, though, so he'll be able to get through this, I imagine, using the P-Wing. Oh,
Ooh.
not if you hold left going into the no. Oh, if he did not have a P-wing on there. Oh,
It's a miracle he had a P-wing in there. He must have held left on the D-pad as he was entering the level, because that can set you to start right at the very far left end of the level, and that can have some really bad implications for airships in general. That the World 7 ship is not mutually exclusive in that regard.
as somebody who did that in the last tournament in the bracket stage, I can agree. It's pretty bad.
Although, starting right at the very beginning of the far left end of a level can actually help you out in certain levels like 5-5. So it can give you a little bit more of a running start to start building P speed on that donut section.
Right. Another 5-hit coupling here. Jeez. Okay, so if I was in Magoo's shoes, I would probably look to take the intentional game over at the start of this world just to make sure no mishaps happen later on. But we'll see how he decides to play this pipe maze out. There's only one fort. We saw a 710 there, so it looks like we're going to need to do that fort and then cross over on that top island to get to the end here. Looks also like you've got to do the first stage, stage 4, to actually get there as well, so... Ooh, and it's a beta stage. We haven't actually seen any of these yet today, so there's about 9 of them, I think, at this point.
There's 9.
Fred managed to find a bunch of these unfinished levels in the game code when hacking the game for this, and fixed them up. Basically made them completable. This one represents 7-3 or 3-4 and that sort of level. There's actually a functional cloud heaven in that, or coin heaven in that stage as well. It's pretty great.
That's a good point. There's a section right between the hills where you can just activate a pink block and that'll take you to coin heaven.
Yeah, like you would never do that in an actual run. Oh, I mean, Magoo was almost going to show us, so it would have been fun if he hit that on the way down. But I appreciate, as you said, you've taken the game over just so that there's no life issue as we go on. Speaking of 7-3,
it's probably a good idea, especially if you're going to start fresh on something like World 7.
Yeah.
Lose a lot of time just trying to do those pipe checks and try to get back to where you were.
Yep. And we know that this level is mandatory, pretty much. I mean, I guess if you beat the fort, then you could get away with it, but still better to just not risk it when you're down to no spare lives.
Speaking of 7-3, YoBGS just rounded that up, so we'll see what fort we have next. And it looks like Piranha Fort.
Oh, there we go. Yep, I like this level. I know a lot of people really hate this one. Oops, and that's probably why. But I don't know. I like it.
Yeah,
So Magoo... Gone.
I was just going to say I ironically like it too.
Yeah. So it looks like Magoo was hoping to not have to play the fort here. It's not necessarily like a 100% rule. It usually gets broken in World 5, if anywhere. But for the most part, in Randomizer, if you don't clear a fort, you will normally have to do at least 2 extra levels to bypass it. If it's not a mandatory clear 1 fort per world, like World 4, say, where you always have to build a bridge at the end. So YoBGS got to be a bit careful here. Magoo took a bit of a slip in the 7-3. Not really the worst thing in the world here. He's still within striking range, so that's the main thing to look at here. Just got to make sure he doesn't get caught by the lack of 2 at the end here. Ooh, losing the P-speed there can be a bit awkward. Just be careful. Yep, that's why. And those, yeah, well done. Those spiny eggs, man. The instant turn back as soon as they've stopped ricocheting forward, it's kind of crazy.
I don't believe we've seen the far right ends of the islands in World 7 yet, so with any luck, that'll probably be the only one, and there won't be any bridges or locks that we need to unlock before we get to the airship.
Yeah, so we saw, with the pipe review, we saw basically a clean final island, because again, the 710 card ensures that there's only 1 fort in this world, so basically playing that fort is top priority when it comes to clearing the world, so we've already seen the lock is basically where we just were with YoBGS, so just got to see now which one of these pipes is going to lead us over. Of course, it's the last one you check, but that's just how it goes. That's a tough spot to sit, Magoo.
It looked like he had the time to actually run through as the getting past the flump.
Yeah, he did. I think it's just maybe a slight confidence thing with that. I'm sort of surprised YoBGS didn't take the hit at the start of this in order to be able to try and like 2-star this one. Maybe he's not comfortable doing that. I'd be surprised actually. I'm pretty sure I've seen him do it before, but
that's the thing. When you have the tail, you actually move slower when you're trying to build P-speed and just try to jump over platforms at the same time.
Not only that, but your P-speed is finite too. It does, even if you don't fly with it, it still runs out, whereas you can, without a tail, you can just keep on running throughout the whole level, so...
That's a really good point as well. Your P-speed is on a timer, so you have no choice but to go for that 3rd star in order to get to the end.
Yep. Nice trip through the glacier there, as I've dubbed it myself. I don't know why. It's a beta for 6.2 or something, I think. Just people say it just because of the ending bit, but it's one that once you learn the P-speed for it, it's not too bad, but it's very easy to mess it up still. So
thankfully you have a lot of little ice blocks making up the platforms at the beginning of that beta level, so it's very good to have some visual cues in order for building P-speed and then just knowing where to jump. Interestingly enough, in the original beta level, you have a fire snake that's directly in your way, so you'd have to do a turn back and snipe it out with fire in order to get past it. But the good thing about Randomizer is that you have a lot more opportunities to just kind of glide right through there.
Yep. So now we have our World 6 airship over here, as nice flat arena. Can actually be kind of troublesome for Ludwig here, just because of the as mentioned before, he tends to jump rather high at the start. Didn't jump immediately this time. He can be much more aggressive. There's the hitbox you mentioned. He can be a lot more aggressive than Roy, so his jumping antics are much, much more dangerous on this stage.
You can see exactly the kind of hitbox interaction that I was talking about when when 2 hitboxes collide with each other at pretty high speeds, then they just kind of go through each other rather than just count as a normal stomp.
Yeah. So, although difficult, usually the way that you would like to try and deal with these sorts of things is to clip the, well, not even clip, but just like hit the Koopaling in midair before they get a chance to land. Because if they can't land, they can't jump, and so they can't, jump into you. But so here we see probably the biggest change from brackets compared to 20 Group 2 here. Ooh, ouch. World 1 is normally a very common world to use a hammer in. I don't think we have a hammer in this seed anyway, but if we did, it wouldn't matter because we can't break a lock. So usually you would want... Ow, another death to this stage. Usually you'd want to just hammer that lock below, right? But we can't do that in brackets, so you're often going to have to do 2 or 3 extra stages compared to what you would normally play.
We're not passing go and collecting $200 this time.
Nope. Yeah, those that Paragoomba in this state, is this 6-4 or 6-3? I can never remember.
YoBGS is playing 6-3, yes.
Okay. That Paragoomba is one of the worst things to go on in this stage, I swear. So Magoo is having a little bit more trouble with the stage here. You've got to be careful if you're going through the water there, because there's a lot of enemies that can spawn down there, including bloopers, and I think there was a big bertha in there actually. So you got to be careful because you can't see where the enemies are. Very easy to get just killed if you miss the jumps there. It's nice and easy. Free fought 1 for YoBGS here. Still gotta watch his life count a little bit. He's not got a lot of leeway here. Oh, that's helpful though. So, getting the lot break on the first of the stuff here doesn't have to worry about the rest of this world. And if he does take a game over, won't have to worry about the rest of what he's already done. Ouch. Paragoombas are the worst. Have I mentioned that yet? Yeah, horrible.
Yeah, even though you have, I don't think it can be stressed enough because they just really have a way of disrupting your natural flow of movement, especially when you're just trying to cross platform to platform.
So, YoBGS does still have two clouds. Is keeping tight, tight grip of them right now, which is interesting considering the life situation as well. The one thing you've got to be careful with when keeping clouds like this is looking at what worlds you have left. You've got to make sure that you're not going to miss out on using them. Because there are points in this rando, like just now, where you have a linear pathway that you have to progress through. And there are points where in, say, World 4, you might have to backtrack through a world. And if you're backtracking through a world, clouds aren't really useful in that situation. So you've got to just make sure, even if you're not necessarily using them on all the crazy levels, you've got to just make sure that you don't waste them. Because clouds are not very good in World 8. There's only a couple of stages that can even have them work, and they're not guaranteed to be on the pathway, so...
That's a really good point on both counts, with both World 8 and with World 4. Sometimes you'll have situations where a fortress will be hiding on a linear path between like 2 or 3 levels, and you just kind of gotta hope that it's not a level that you particularly load like 7.5 or 6.6, because you don't want to have to burn through 2 clouds if you are really that committed to just skipping over it.
Right. So 6-3 claiming another victim with Magoo there, as the World 3 airship being taken on by YoBGS here. Did get a 3rd cloud as well, so it's really got to start considering using those, as we're on through 4 worlds now. Hey, it's our first Earthquaker. So the Earthquake property has also been shuffled, as we've seen so far with the non-Earthquaking Ludwig and Roy. 2 of the Koopalings will have those quakes. One of them can be Lemmy, who doesn't jump, so sometimes you only get 1, but still.
So yeah, we're just finishing up with the first half of the game, so we still have worlds 5, 6, and 7 in order for them to use their cloud. So yeah, generally what I like to do on seeds where the item drops have been particularly generous in that regard is to still hold on to them regardless. Just to make sure that you're not just burning them for the sake of doing so, and then you just encounter something like Atlantis later on, or 5-9.
Yeah. So, I know YoBGS got the hammer suit early on from the hammer bird that Magoo didn't play, but Peach gave a fire flower there out of the World 4 gift card. That's actually really helpful for Magoo, because he does not have that hammer suit that YoBGS has. So... having a weapon for Bowser, definitely what you want, and it's a lot harder to come by in brackets just because you get fewer items in general. What do you think of YoBGS not taking the 5 out there?
I think he should still be in good shape. I've seen a lot of YoBGS's execution in a lot of the group stage runs. So I think that as long as he's able to get through here, no problem. He only has about 2 or 3 stages left before he gets to the ship.
Nice.
Plus, he's
here.
Very good move having that tail going into Fort Knox. Don't have to really fumble around just trying to get the Tanuki suit and go through the P-switch room.
Absolutely. So, if I saw this World 6 right, it looks like there were 2 forts, there were 2 locks at the end, but it looks like you could basically do either fort in order to get to the end because they're on separate pathways. So just doing this fort and then using the pipe going round again should be enough to get to the end.
You never want to play forts just for the sake of playing them without at least doing a pipe check first to see what's in your way, especially when you're only like a level or 2 away from where the airship castle might be. So you'll want to see if there's a bridge in his way that he has to open. He's only a couple spaces away if he has to actually end up playing it.
So Magoo went... oh my goodness. Magoo went for an off-screen grab there, didn't quite get it. We're in... I think people call this a 5-3 better. I actually more think this is like 3-9 because of the whole like 2-layer plus water thing. But I understand where you would think 5-3 because you're going, forward and backward. nasty enemy set there with all the bloopers and such. There are no power-ups in that stage, so if you get that as the first stage, that can be a bit of a roadblock in its own right. And there we go. Nice and easy for her. So no P-Speed strat in the World 4 airship here. Something from the Super Mario Bros. Remix ROM hack, because this stage doesn't have auto-scroller in there. And yeah, there's a P-Speed strat that was developed for that I believe Hacksaw took over from it for last year. And it's really cool. So you see a lot of people go for that now. Nice single hit for Lemmy here. I really don't like fighting him on this ship because sometimes the circus balls will just bounce off of that corner in the bit there and just rebound right into him again. So it can be really annoying to deal with, but don't have to deal with it if he's only a single hitter. So Magoo actually taking what I think is the more sensible option here of going for the fort that's like right next to him rather than going back through the pipe transition. Gets one fort, which does not have to be cleared in order to finish the world, because you can go and get the item that's at the top. That doesn't break a lock, so it's an optional one here. But it will break the lock going this way round, so you'll be totally fine. And that actually saves a little bit of pipe transition time, so it's good. Meanwhile, 4-7 ensures that this is a single fort World 4, so I think we're back to fort neutral now, going for World 3 finale. And a bit of an ugly one. I did see another cloud come out of the Peach leather as well, so many clouds right now. Not gonna get the one cycle with that second hit there, as you see. Oh, ouch! 4-6 boss bass is the second enemy. You've got to be really careful when you see 4-6 because yeah, there could be a boss bass at the beginning of that, and it's just like nightmare fuel. So you see that because of the two different forts that were done, Magoo actually does have to play a different level in this situation. Oh, he was baiting it out too. It just didn't work out. Look how many clouds are in that. That's crazy.
I think that now that you mentioned it, now that we're on the 6th world right now, now would be a good opportunity to start considering using those clouds, because you don't want to end up with a situation where the next world you only have to play like maybe one fort at most, and then all those clouds just ended up not getting used at all.
Right. The problem for Magoo is he's actually like lacking clouds because a lot of them have either already been used or weren't picked up early. So there's a little bit of a disconnect there, I guess. So YoBGS has got a lot of clouds and not using them. Magoo has been using them but hasn't picked up as many, so is in a tougher spot that way around. Let's see the World 1 airship here. Not too bad of a one to fight Iggy on. The hitbox can be a little bit crazy. He does jump rather wildly, but it's not too bad. So if Magoo wanted to, he could have gone through the door there. It's a bit difficult with boss bass in the way, but he could have gone through and changed the enemy set. That is so many power goobers. What is going on here?
Even though the platforms and the level layout is identical, even from one room to another, they still count as two rooms separately at any rate. So yeah, you can expect to encounter a different set of enemies if you want to despawn that boss bass.
Such a cool concept, that one, because it goes from giant enemies to small enemies in vanilla. It's just a really neat idea. So
yeah, I agree.
As a hammer there, that actually would open up a double hammer play for Magoo, because he did pick one up from the world, these World 6 hammer bros here. So I don't know if that's actually going to come into play. I didn't get a proper look at what the initial map was like, but could be important.
Yeah, I don't think I saw any pipes on the other side of those two rocks. So I think that the cloud might have been a good idea.
So we see 6-8 with Land Bass in his natural territory. He always seems to show up in this stage.
Whenever it comes to boss bass levels generally, I always like to make sure that he's in plain sight at all times, because I feel like if I knock him out at any point, he'll just come back for a rude awakening by just respawning in thin air.
Yep.
And then it'll just be too late and he'll grab you.
You have about 5 seconds or so from killing him to him respawning. So if you play enough of this, you get that sort of innate timing of, oh, he's going to show up here. I need to be a bit more careful or such. But even then, that's still tough to deal with. So
especially when you're trying to navigate through a really narrow path. So even though you know he's going to be coming up in like 4 or 5 seconds, even then it would still be tough to try to get over him.
Yep. So we have found the end of this world 3. Need to beat a fort. Here's the second hammer for YoBGS. A little bit late now, but I guess he could still do the whole thing, but there's no point. He's right over here.
That's true.
Yeah, looking at this world layout, I don't know if a double hammer would be that useful. I guess it could be, because you could just do the double hammer, get to the other side of this, beat this fort, and then see what's on from there, just because of positioning. Magoo also not getting the 1 cycle here in 8 fort. Not the easiest of things to do. I think there was a booth just before the doorway in the middle of that as well, and that's the one that I can never seem to get done right. I have no idea how you're supposed to avoid that and still land in the doorway. Looks like YoBGS got the right fort, so that's pretty good. If Magoo does double hammer here, he could maybe save a little bit of time. 1-5. So I think we've only seen 1 earthquake Koopaling, right? So Wendy might well be using them here. Nope. Okay.
So we have 2. We have 3 hitter.
Nice. Good mid-air hit to finish it off too. Wendy, I think it's mostly Wendy, Iggy, especially Iggy, and Ludwig are the ones that tend to jump like the frame they hit the ground. That's usually the sort of problem point. Like Iggy is the worst one for it, but that's where the hitbox shenanigans happen the most. Is if they decide they're gonna jump like immediately when they hit the ground. And thankfully, it didn't happen this time. But if you hit them in midair, they don't get a chance to do that. So. Alright, what's this world 8 gonna look like? Ooh, I already don't like this.
Me neither.
3 pipe opening, especially when one of them is blocked by a numbered stage too. Hey, a cloud could be useful, I guess, if you have to go that way, but... And nothing going off the first pipe.
And so Magoo was able to hold on to his fire and get the fire kill on, I think it was Iggy.
Yeah. Siggy, he's just finished well for. Nicely done. Ooh. And there's 8 folks. So this doesn't actually have to break the lock that we've just seen, because you may have to play like stage 1 and get to the 3rd pipe in order to do progression stuff here. So interesting layout for sure. No problem with super tanks there. So just have to see what comes up. Oh, 5-1 is the level that was skipped by YoBGS at the start of this. That's not the worst one when you've got power-ups going in. Oh, gotta shake that off
got
first.
caught by that Paragoomba.
Yeah, if you get hit with a Micro Goomba, then smack like tap left and right to shake it off quickly. You can usually like mash it off fairly easily, but I see most people just like try and jump it off. It doesn't really work like that, unfortunately.
And even if you do have the opportunity to shake it off, sometimes it can often be too late, and the Paragoomba is just ready to drop down on you anyway.
Yeah, the good old Goomba Stomp. Okay, so are we going to see the fort played for Magoo here? Unfortunately not. That would be the right play to make, but that was another lock that was broken sort of directly in the dark, huh?
He knows which one is going to bring him to the solo island where the ship is, but now he has to find out which fort it's going to be.
Oof. 6-8 is always so laggy. It's going for the box. does get it. It's a star too, so that should help clear the rest of the way. So nice free F2 there.
It'd be on high elevation when he decides to respawn again.
Yes. Yeah, it only becomes problematic if the camera scrolls up as well, but on a stage where there's no, like it's locked basically to the bottom, there's never going to be any issue of where boss battles spawn. Okay, so Magoo has found which pipe to go in. Just needs to clear the fort now.
It's one thing I appreciate about the World 2 Fort in Randomizer is that just because the way the enemy setups are often different, it's a much easier to get early P speed on that lower level because you don't have to do a tiny jump over the dry bones and then hope you have just enough pixels in order to build that meter.
Right. We saw Magoo playing smart there as well, not wanting to do the hammer bro here, especially when small. Took the pipe to go around it instead, so it's much safer to say the least. So 2 fort finished up for YoBGS here. Couldn't get the normal sort of fast strats because the crazy foot kind of got in the way. That's fine. I think he's cleared just about every fort at this point, so
I think we saw the tank ended up being a super tank, so we should be right where we need to for the Bowser's Castle.
And there it is. 2 clouds left in inventory. Yeah. It's very rare in brackets, actually. I tend to not find very many clouds in the seeds I play myself, so it's rare to even have this many to burn, to be honest.
Looks like he tried to go for the elevator clip right before going up.
Yeah.
Not quite that much luck.
Sorry, go on.
I was done.
I was gonna say, if you do get that clip as a PSA, don't just like hold left or like face left when you go in there, because if there's a boo on that torch, then that boo will chase you all the way up. Nice first try clip for skipping the randomness of the back room now.
Very nicely done. Normally that elevator clip right at the bottom saves about a second, and it'll save even more time if you can get it right as you're going through where the rotodisc stairs are.
Whoa, that was cool. Okay. So YoBGS got the jump out of the wall afterwards and shot hammers in the air so that when Bowser came down, a couple of them hit there, so he only needed 2 hammers to knock him out from below. Fantastic. First place finish, 40 minutes, 55 seconds. GG.
Very nicely done with an official SRL time of 40:55.
So now we'll see just how much Magoo has to do here.
With any luck, you'll be able to play a couple less forts and tanks and just find his way to Bowser a little bit sooner.
Yeah.
Play that fort anyway to unlock that lock.
Yep. So thankfully this is not like a particularly long stage to do. Ooh, but it's very easy to get overzealous, I guess, at the end and just jump a little bit too early. Rocky wrenches in Rando without the auto-scrolling are always interesting because they're this type of enemy where if you're in the flow state and you just aren't stopping much throughout the stage, they'll never really get a chance to hit you. But if you get slowed down by anything and they've spawned just off screen or something, you're gonna need to account for them. And it's much different to what it is in regular play with all the auto-scroller stuff going on. Ooh. What's the damage? 3-9. That's a pretty damaging stage, actually, as a hand.
Yeah, I think the Rocky Wrenches have some really interesting coding as well. Like, when you encounter Rocky Wrenches in the in vanilla SMB3 during the auto-scrollers, you can let the auto-scroller just push Mario on the far left side of the wall. And then if you're standing on a Rocky Wrench as that's happening, and then you just let Mario get pushed off, you can just start floating in midair as you're running off the wrench.
Oh, I think I've seen that before. Yeah, it's pretty pretty awesome. If Should look it up if you've not seen it. Alright, just gotta be careful with our ice boom boom over here. The only boom boom in the game that doesn't jump towards you when you hit him, because I guess he's on ice, he doesn't have the grip to do that. So also, I think the only one that has like a actual turning sort of setup as well, because the other ones just like move forward for a bit and then immediately turn around and start moving back towards you. But the one on ice, because he is on ice, just got to actually turn properly. So yeah, kind of a linear World 8 in the end here, because as I was saying, to do the fort, to get down to the bottom, to do the tank, to get to this, to basically get to this one, then this one breaks the lock to get to the Navy, and then the Navy makes the bridge to get to Bowser. So.
Top of that, virtually everything you need is going to be right there in the dark room.
Yeah. Wait, was there a bridge to Bowser? I actually don't remember.
I think there was just those two pipes, and then I think there was just a lock in the way.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, there was the lock in front of that, right. So, and it was a bridge, okay. I thought it was just, yeah, when you've only seen it like one short moment, it's easy to forget on this stuff, but yeah, so all 4 forts were acquired. Same, pretty straightforward World 8, despite looking really bad at the beginning with 3 pipes.
That's true.
I think the nightmare scenario for the beginning of a World 8 is like 2 pipes, but one of them is locked by at least, like one lock, like 1 or 2 locks is just like super hard to get to. Because it's just a case of, okay, what random fort do I need to do to get to this, and is it even necessary in the first place,
Oh, my favorite is the one where the opening screen has about like 3 pipes, and then 2 of them just lead to dead ends, and the only one where you can really go anywhere is in the dark room, and the first fort that you need is hidden behind a level panel, and you would either have to play it or just do a double clap to skip over it.
So basically, Teeks doesn't like fun. Okay, good to know. No. We used a Fire Flower from Peach earlier on, so no Bowser weapon here. That's unfortunate. But still, could maybe look at getting one from the box in below the top route, because that might be a Fire Flower. That would probably be the easiest place to look for one if you're going to.
I mean, if you're going to do the traditional Bowser kill where he just breaks the floor open, that takes about 40 to 50 seconds. So even with the time taken factored in to, just drop down and grab the Fire Flower, you're still saving time in the long run. But it doesn't look like there's going to be an option this time around. So it's just going to play a little safer and just take the lower route. He'll be able to grab a second power-up, even if best case scenario, it's a mushroom.
I think best case it's actually a star, so he doesn't have to worry about the ending bit here, because bottom route is not necessarily the safe one. Yep, case in point. So
I was just going to say the mushroom and the star are just going to be, they're both going to be equal as insurance policies just to get past those lasers.
Yeah. So the difference is, you've got no donut blocks, so that part is safer, but the jumps are a lot longer, and there's usually only like 1 platform, so I actually think bottom route is harder, even though top route tends to throw more trolley like combinations at you. I still think bottom route is more consistently difficult. Just because, like, oh no! Oh, you didn't have to move! He has a P-Wing though, so there is still a shot here.
I mean, even if he took damage from the Rotodisc when he's going up the stairs, he'll still be able to get that the 1-up clip, and he just wants to hold on to Big Mario long enough to see what's in that power-up in the middle section.
Right. I mean, it could also be could have also been a consideration just to use the P-Wing in that room and just fly for it, right?
It's true.
Okay, so... Ooh, no! Oh, and this is tough now, because now he has no spare items. This is where brackets comes in. If we were in the group stages still, with the end cards available, we would probably have more resources here. But because we're in brackets, there's no safety net now.
And now that he has no way of doing the one-up clip, he's going to have to make his way back down the stairs. So it's going to be very easy to be cornered by some rotodiscs that are, off-screen at the time.
Thankfully, it was only a dry bones on that torch, so there's no boo to worry about here. Yep. You never wanna be in this situation.
No, not at all.
I don't think a game over is gonna matter here because there weren't. I mean, it would for the hand stage, I guess. That could still get in the way of the 3-9 stage, but otherwise, I think it's fairly safe to get back here. But
I think you're right.
It's difficult because you never go down that way, so you don't necessarily know where is safe. It's not the type of thing you would practice because I'll never need to, right? I'll always do the clip and it's fine. Okay. Which way is this gonna take us? Is this gonna go straight to Bowser as well? Oh, that's funny. Okay.
That's actually a really good idea. I forgot there was that second pipe there, and we didn't see what where the other side of it was.
Oh, that could have actually skipped a lot of this world, couldn't it? Because he could have used that pipe, gone the other way around. You'd have ended up in the left-hand side of the dark, which you could have easily just done like 2 forwards and gone that way instead. That's pretty cool. That's significantly less cool, though. Yeah, this staircase is a nightmare. Yeah, but the bridge was at the top. So, okay, for those, just to recap, the way this world went, they played a fort in the top of the dark area to break the lock that was at the top, to go down, build the, break the, there was the lock that was broken by a tank that they did at the bottom of the dark area. Then you needed to go in a pipe in that bottom area. Ouch. The stage is giving Magoo the business right now. There was a pipe in the bottom corner that led to the Air Force that broke the lock to get to the Navy in the top left of the dark. And the Bowser pipe was also in that bottom left-hand section. There's no way you would know, of course there's not, but it's just one of those that if you ended up taking the chance and going, I'm behind, I'm going to cloud this level and hope that I don't need to do the other bit. It's the sort of surprise great equalizer type logic, Alright. Gotta take it easy getting through here, Magoo. Oh, that's not taking it easy. He was worried about the rotation of the waffles, and I don't blame him at all. But yeah, you've got to just make sure you get to the edge first, and then if you need to back up afterwards. Tough break. All credit to him for continuing with this, though. It's very easy just to say I don't want to bother at this point, but he's trucking on is fantastic to see. Nicely done. Oh!
Oh no. Definitely a lot of admirable resilience on his part.
Ooh. You can respawn this, but it might be easiest just to reset the room, although the boo there kind of gives pause there. Not gonna lie, I'll never see that room because going for the clip in that room is just crazy, especially nowadays, right? So you're not gonna see that room from most anyone at this point. So I forget what's even in there most of the time.
Like before we had a situation where where Fred patched up the statue room right before the Bowser fight, where you had those multiple fireballs. You had the alternate route of taking out the thwomp with either a star or the hammer suit, and then just clipping through the wall, and then it'll take you straight to that same statue room that you would normally encounter in the upper path. The difference is that you can't build P speed, just starting from that left hand side of the wall. So you would have to have that P speed carried from just going the traditional upper route.
Yeah, and even then, now as you say, there's the fireballs are randomized going through the rooms, so there's like no reason whatsoever to do it at this point.
Actually, I had a practice seed where I just completely forgot about those multiple fireballs, and I thought I was playing vanilla for a minute. So I tried doing the P speed strat with the fire flower, and I almost made it through, and I just got debated right before the last statue.
Oh, feels bad. Alright, so thinking past that this time, just gotta take it easy. This is why I say this room is actually probably harder, especially if you're not used to it. I think this room is harder because of stuff like that. Like, where could you go there? You've not got a second platform to have as a leeway. Whereas, even though they're donut blocks, almost all of the donut blocks come in pairs on the top route, so... That and the jumps are just shorter as well, so... I don't know. Okay, so Magoo may not be aware that Bowser does not have a hitbox underneath him here. That might have been the cause of the death the last time. This is only a prototype Bowser Bomb, this is not the real thing. Smash was not made by the time this game came out, so he's still working on it.
He's almost there.
Scary,
making me nervous.
Those jumps. Yeah, there we go.
There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, get your GGs out for Magoo is Adorable. Right, and with that, he finishes with an official SRL time of 55:42. Great job to both of our racers. So, as we had mentioned before, this is going to be a best of 2 of 3, or best of 3 rather, for the bracket matches. So, starting up in just about 5 minutes, we're just going to roll another seed, see if any of our racers need a break for any reason, and we'll be starting up shortly.
Yep. All right, see you guys in a few minutes.